Hello there, Dota fans. I am Anna Prosser-Robinson, and I am thrilled to be your host for the HyperX D2L Season 4 Championship here in Las Vegas at CES. We are going to have an awesome tournament planned for you guys today. If you've been following us this season, you know that we have two divisions, Eastern and Western, and we have the top two teams from each of those divisions here today duking it out for their share of a $50,000 prize pool, with the winner taking home $25,000 tomorrow. Does that sound good? I'd take it. We wouldn't have anything like this possible without our amazing sponsors, Monster, Razer, Astro, and of course our title sponsor, HyperX, who's made it possible for all of us to be here in Las Vegas and bringing these teams out for some excellent Dota 2 play. Let's give it a hand for our sponsors. Well, we're going to get right into these matches. It's going to be a double elimination bracket, best of threes, until the finals, which will be a best of five. And the winner the team coming from the winner's bracket will go into the finals with a 1-0 advantage in that series. So I'm really excited to start these matches off. Our first match, as you can probably see, is going to be Alliance versus Vici Gaming. Are you guys excited? So let's hear a little bit from those teams right away. Let's bring up Loda and ROTK. Now, Loda, your team is the #1 seed in the Western Division. There's a lot of talk about how people think the Eastern Division is kind of the more competitive division, but you guys have been undefeated in this entire tournament so far. Do you feel like you have what it takes to be the #1 team overall?
Yeah, obviously. I just have to take care of my friend over here.
ROTK, your team is the #2 seed in the Eastern Division, but it wasn't necessarily an easy road. You had to take out teams in the qualifiers like IG and DK, so you fought really, really hard. Is that hard fight going to, inspire you to fight even harder here in the finals?
你们是预选赛拼了一幕，拼过来才打完，然后觉得这个过程会不会让你们更加努力在这打，还是怎么样？说说想法。
因为我们是在亚洲预选的，就是我们排第2，然后一路以来，也与很多中国强队进行交手，然后基本上都是险胜，所以我们一路以来也都比较努力吧，然后做了一些功课，希望这次能取得好的成绩。
He says we have indeed fought pretty hard to get here. They're the 2nd seed in the Eastern. They just barely beat a bunch of Chinese teams to get here, so they have worked pretty hard to get here, and they've done some homework in regards to this event, so they hope to see success.
Great. Let's hear it for that. Those of us who didn't understand the Chinese version. All right, Loda, last time you guys faced Vici Gaming was, I believe, at EMS1, where they did defeat you and went on to win the entire tournament against Fnatic. What has gone into your preparation so that you might come out with a different outcome this time against Vici Gaming?
Yeah, well, this time we had a boot camp before we went here, at least for 3 days. Hopefully it will help us a little bit, but at the same time, Vici is, honestly, they're an extremely great team, and every time we play them, I bet it's going to be very, very even. So, yeah, I hope we have what it takes, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, that's some nice-mannered words coming from Loda, but I know that there's kind of a frenemy situation going on here with ROTK and Loda. I don't know if you can translate frenemy into Chinese. I couldn't. But ROTK, I know that you had some choice words for Loda yesterday in your interviews. Do you have anything you want to say to him now before the match starts?
也听说你昨天做的那个短暂的采访，给 Loda 有一些友好的嘲讽吧？现在有没有想加上一些？
I wanna go. Still gonna say. Today I will try my best to make my friend and Loda, and I will try my best to make sure he can kiss my ass.
Go ahead and shake hands, guys. All right, good luck to both teams. Guys, I'm going to introduce you now to our casters to take us into the match. Here is AC and Merlini.
Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. Welcome in, as Anna said. We're live here in the Emperor's Ballroom #2 at Caesars Palace, and it's been a long season, Ben, but I'll tell you what, we've seen some great Dota, and we have 4 phenomenal teams, 2 of which are facing off to lead us off. Alliance, #1 seed coming out of the West, and of course, Vici, one of the surprise teams. They had a really strong performance throughout the Eastern Division. They finished in 3rd coming out of the group stage going into the bubble race, managed to get past DK and Invictus Gaming to earn their way to Vegas here today. It's so tough to call. I mean, Vici's just one of those teams we've seen in time and time again. They're up, they're down. Alliance, always going to be stable, certainly on land. Coming into this, what's your scouting report on both sides?
Well, a month ago, I think we would say that Vici is the strongest team, but a lot has changed in a month, and we've had a little bit of a break, and Vici has been on a slight downfall, but as ROTK says, he will make sure they can kiss his ass.
Exactly, and it's like you said, Vici, like you said, a month can change a lot. We've actually only seen Vici play twice in the last 2 weeks, so we'll have to see, or twice competitively, I should say, throughout their full schedule. But, you know, as Anna said, there is a bit of a frenemy situation, a little bit more than just advancing through our playoff bracket. A little bit of bragging rights on the way, and as we can see, there's a little bit of choice words bandied about by both players, starting with Loda. He had this to say.
I used to spend time in SCA, and back then, me and RTK, the captain of Vici Gamings, were brothers. But this time, I won't show any mercy. Prepare your pesticide, because the rats are coming for you.
Yeah, so there's that. What was it you called it earlier? A little bit of friendly banter? Friendly banter. Well,
it's always friendly banter.
it's Dota. It's not like anyone ever flames anyone in Dota.
Everyone's
for
friends
any
in the world of
reason.
Dota.
Exactly. But that wasn't all that was said, though. ROTK had something to say back.
Hey, Lauda, kiss my ass.
So as we can see, both of these players and both of these teams certainly coming out with a lot to play for. $50,000 in prize money, certainly near the top of the list, but it never hurts to
I like the subtitles for that, by the way.
Exactly, yeah, just to make sure we all got it. So we are loading into the game right now. We're going to be having the draft coming up here in just a few moments. But if you will, Ben, just from a former competitive player's point of view, give me the scouting report. I already asked for that in general, but give me in a couple of sentences, if you're the captain of both of these teams, knowing the tendencies of your opponents, what are going to be your primary goals moving into this game 1 and certainly in the first series of such a big tournament?
I think that Alliance just needs to bring more strategies to the table. Post TI3, they were having a lot of success in August, September, and a little bit of October, but then a lot of teams figured them out just because they ran the same heroes and the same playstyles over and over. And I think Vici and a lot of other teams caught on to that. So I think they just need to bring the element of surprise. And Vici just needs to go back to their former glory in December. And they were just looking a little bit lackluster in the past few weeks and in latter December too. So I think they just need to just go with what works.
Well, we saw throughout their play in the Eastern Division, if there's any one characteristic that Vici has, they love to come out swinging very early. There's such an unbelievably talented squad in the early and mid-game phases. And whenever you look at Alliance and the way that their play styles had to adapt in post 6.79 Dota, how do you begin to account for that? And not to say that Alliance doesn't have the ability to swing and punch hard in that phase as well, but we've seen time and time again, if you can knock Vici out of any kind of a rhythm in the first 20 to 25 minutes, that's where you can get a lead, and that's where you can begin to build that into a game win. How do you do that if you're in Alliance's shoes today?
Vici tends to draft like pretty safely. I'd say it's pretty difficult to outdraft them. You just have to bring it to them in the early game. They're very, very good at 5-manning, kind of like LGD China. So I would say dissecting them in the lanes is the first part. Don't pick a super greedy lineup if you're Alliance. Just focus on lane dominance and controlling Vici the whole entire game. Don't let them get off to a good start. Don't let them snowball their way and control the whole entire map as they love to do.
Oh, exactly. And that's usually what you see is Vici just so good at being able to take some kind of a marginal advantage in the first 15 minutes. Then they begin to 5-man, they begin to roam, they begin to move. Alliance, though, is a team who has shown time and time again, and we are trying to get the game loaded in right now. Looks like, unfortunately, we're having a problem getting one loaded in, so we'll be bringing you the draft in just a moment. But Alliance is a team, I mean, let's be honest, they have a reputation, Rad Dota, being able to dodge those fights, being able to extend a game, being able to buy time for players like Admiral Bulldog and a Nature's Prophet and so on and so forth. That's what makes this matchup so interesting and why we've seen it be interesting in the past as well. So, I mean, if you're Vici, do you start to consider doing something a little bit different here today? Do you try to maybe beat Alliance at their own game, or do you just stick to what's tried and true?
I think you stick with what's tried and true. I think they really need to shut down S4. S4 is a really big playmaker for Alliance, and if he does poorly and he can't control the map, I think the whole team, they don't fall apart. They just have to resort to a very predictable sort of strategy.
Right.
Whereas I think they can excel at taking control of the map, and S4 can take control of the map too with his Magnus, with his Batrider, and he's been playing Alchemist and other heroes recently too. Vici, I think that Super is a fairly important role in their team. DK and Stormsphere being his strongest heroes, but at the same time, he's not as important. He's just there and does what he does. He doesn't like go around the map controlling the whole entire thing like S4 does. So I think the mid lane will be a very important matchup to watch, and even the hero picks for them.
Yeah, you actually took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, when we see Vici just snowball, and we have seen Vici take some unbelievably lopsided wins throughout their Eastern play, it's almost always because of a solid lane win from Super, and that can be due to a number of factors. That can be due to just him flat out beating his opponent. It can also be due to just a lot of help coming out of the side lanes. Again, Vici just so good at being able to judge those opportunities, being able to dissect, to steal your word. They play a scalpel into a sledgehammer kind of a game is the way it feels. They really do an excellent job of just taking apart whatever weaknesses you have, being able to cut through them, and immediately being able to capitalize on it in those early to mid-game team fights. So looks like we do finally have both of our teams loaded in. The draft is now underway. Game 1 of the HyperX D2L Grand Finals just about to get started. So Alliance and Vici, let's come back to Alliance for a little bit. You know, for the longest time, we saw Admiral Bulldog in particular really just stick to two primary heroes, played them the vast majority of the time. Since 6.79, we've seen him begin to depart from that. But at the same time, and we can see Vici with the respect band of the Prophet already. And we've actually seen Bulldog playing back on the Druid more than he used to, not quite as much as he used to, but more than he had been lately. If you're drafting as Alliance here, do you just go ahead and try to do what you do best, or maybe you're looking to throw a curveball, for example, out of Bristleback lately?
I mean, to be honest, I haven't seen Alliance play too much in the past few weeks. I think Admiral Bulldog can play a fair amount of other heroes besides his namesake Lone Druid, as well as Nature's Prophet. I think his Bounty Hunter and Clockwork are also both pretty phenomenal too, so I don't think they'll be limited in that aspect. But before we go further in the draft, who are your favorites?
Coming in, it's so tough to call. I mean, Vici looks so good whenever they finished up in the Eastern Division. Alliance, of course, is always going to be at least one of a handful of teams that are heavy favorites on LAN. Fnatic, obviously, probably the one team everyone has kind of got a big question mark over looking at the whole tournament anyway, just because they do have two stand-ins, and that's just going to be rough on them. But then you look at LGD. LGD has also had some issues, some of the much-publicized roster stability issues that have come to light over the past week or so. So to tell you the truth, if I had to pick two teams that I felt were going to go the deepest, I think Vici and Alliance have the potential to, no matter who wins here today, I think there's a very good chance that these teams can and will meet in the finals.
What about between these two teams?
Oh, between these two teams, it's impossible to call, really. I mean, so much, whenever I think about Vici Gaming, it feels like so much just depends on how well they start, not just in terms of game one. They're a team who even when they lose pretty. We saw them every match they lost in the Eastern Division. They lost 2-1. They don't get 2-0'd very often. So oftentimes, if Vici's able to get a game one win, they're able to roll that up into a 2-0 themselves. Alliance, though, certainly a team who's no stranger to pressure on the stage. And really, I think game one is going to dictate the pace for the entire series. So both teams going to have a heavy incentive to get a lot done very early on.
It's a very unusual draft to start off with, with the Dragon Knight first pick. Alliance, this does open up a lot of strategies for them. They can run a Chen, which Aki loves to play, and just push him down very, very early with the Lone Druid. So they have that option open to them. It's also useful if they want to go into a Wisp pick, which we haven't seen too much lately, but you really want some tanky heroes so that, okay, if they gank our Dragon Knight, we'll just retaliate and just kill them with Relocate. But are we really going to see a Wisp? I would like to. I like seeing Wisp.
I think Vici sniffing the thing you mentioned first, the idea of taking a Dragon Knight, putting a Chin with it, and just beginning to push. I mean, when you talk about the power of Breathe Fire, the innate pushing potential that comes with Dragon Knight's level 6 Elder Dragon form, that damage over time on towers, makes it so very hard to keep things up whenever you have any sort of a swarming hero like a Chen. But with the Venomancer pickup, Vici should feel pretty safe about that. Very difficult to push into a Venomancer who is well positioned. He's just able to slow that down so much. And they're going to go ahead and take the Chin themselves. So robbing Alliance of that opportunity right off the bat, they will grab the EU. So well called, my friend.
Well, there goes a lot of the heroes that I think both of these heroes are in hot contest. Though with the early Enchantress ban by Alliance, they already fear for that sort of jungle roamer. And Chen isn't as strong as jungle roaming, but he's still very, very good at vying for early game control. But EO and Dragon Knight, that's a very passive early game from Alliance. And I said before that they probably shouldn't go too greedy. And I think this is about as greedy as it gets. It will depend on their last 3 picks. I think they need some aggressive heroes. They also need some AoE, some team fights, some anti-push. No like split pushers, nothing like an anti-mage. That would just not suit well for their lineup.
Right. Taking a look at just what Alliance has done in their past few matches, I mentioned before the Bristleback pick. We've seen Bulldog run that in the offlane. We've also seen Loda farm it. The Dragon Knight, of course, can be run mid. Just comes down to where Alliance wants to prioritize the DK pick. But I feel like that could fit in very well here. As you mentioned, tanky heroes, the ability to stand up against the push potential that Vici's now assembled.
I think Alliance needs to ban Pugna like now.
Like today.
If they don't ban Pugna right now, I think Vici will just take it and then they'll just roll Alliance in a push strat. But we'll see how that goes. This is their second ban in the second phase, too.
Yep. So Alliance, waiting to see what their ban's going to be. But whenever it comes down to how they want to play it, again, they're just so flexible in the heroes they can play in the way that they do play them. I do like the Vici. I do like the Pugna pick for Vici, I should say. I feel like that would fit in well. They're not going to ban that, actually.
Alliance
it's available
could take it, too.
Yeah.
But so. Vici has the pick.
Alliance is also, they have no problem farming a Pugna. And, you know, if Vici doesn't take it, that could very well, that could potentially be a nice pickup for Alliance. If you were sitting in both teams' shoes right now, I mean, what are you thinking? Like, what direction do you feel like both sides should go with?
I think Vici's thinking, okay, if they pick one more passive hero, we just push them very, very heavily. And I guess Dragon Knight's already taken down, but they can just run Pugna plus Lone Druid themselves and just absolutely crush Alliance. EO just very, very ill-suited at dealing with push, as is Dragon Knight, and it's just going to be very difficult for them. I think the Alchemist ban was very smart from Vici as for running that a lot, and he just serves so many different purposes. Early roaming, your mid-tempo controller, your late-game carry, and Vici going with the OD.
The old dirty making an appearance in 3rd position, so the Pugna pick still available. They're going to go ahead and grab a Treant Protector, so deciding that they're going to account for the push in more ways than one. Treant certainly a wonderful hero early on. He's going to make Dragon Knight feel freaking invincible once he gets up any sort of survivability items. And the OD is, you know, that to me, that's a little bit of a surprise pick. I mean, it's not like he's a bad hero, maybe anticipating the Dragon Knight mid and being able to just shut him down and just keep him from accomplishing anything. But what other reasoning you think could be behind that?
I'm not really sure. I mean, the OD's pure damage is nice versus Dragon Knight, and you can chew through him, even if he does have max Dragon's Blood as well as Living Armor. But Treant Protector, I don't know. I'm not too sold on him as a pick. I think their lineup is far too passive right now. Like, you can Treant Armor, but it's only going to be able to save people. How are they going to get kills around the map? We'll likely see that develop in their further 2 picks. And also, Treant Protector, Living Armor versus Venomancer versus Chen. There's so many instances of damage coming out that I don't think Living Armor will be too effective here, so I like Vici's draft a lot more. Dragon Knight, also his armor is pretty much useless. Venomancer has so much magical damage. Chen also has a fair amount of magical damage. OD has pure damage too. Test of Faith is also pure, so it's, I mean, it's a nice first pick, but you also need to work around Vici's draft, and I just don't feel like they're doing that right now.
I really like the Clockwork pickup here. It's going to give Vici a couple of options at how they want to play this out. They've got a lot of push in the Venomancer and the Chen. OD, as you mentioned, pure damage certainly helps deal with the Dragon Knight. Overall, a very good hero in the early and mid-game phases. Clockwork, though, gives them that reach, that range they need, and certainly that initiation. Up until him, they were maybe looking to bank on a good Gale, and that would be their most reliable form of initiation. Now having the Clockwork to engage under the enemy towers or to just go ahead and start roaming, as we've seen them do time and time again. Just try to take as many fights early on as you can and get an advantage that way. That's going to play very well into what we've seen them do before. Alliance, though, picking another hero that tends to be pretty reliably hard to kill in the Viper, especially if you end up going with a mech-first kind of a build. So that's going to be a potential lot of regen between the Tree and the Viper in particular.
And the Wisp, too.
Yes.
If they go on Viper and there's Living Armor coming out, as well as Tether Overcharge, it's going to be insanely difficult to kill, especially once they get a mech. But curious to see what their last pick is. It's just, Alliance's lineup is just like super tank mode, and hope everyone heals up. But like, where's the relocate potential, right? You can relocate, I guess, DK into fights to set up with a stun, but that's not as powerful as something else. I mean, they could maybe run Tiny Last. I would like to see that.
Yeah, that'd be fun to see. And something that it's been a long time since I've seen them do it, but they will do in situations like this. I'm not sure exactly where they could run him, but I want to say I've seen Alliance run, believe it or not, Dragon Knight plus a Lifestealer, which is still available. And what you can do is infest into the Dragon Knight and then relocate with the Dragon Tail stun out of Dragon Knight. Very reliable stun, and then the burst damage that can come out of that combination is absolutely immense. At that point, though, it would be a 3-core lineup, so we'd have to see how they wanted to put it together. I mean, taking a look at Alliance's lineup so far, who do you think's going to be handling who, and where do you think they'll be heading?
I was actually thinking about that too. I think Dragon Knight will get demolished by OD mid, so
agreed.
they'll have to pair Viper there. So S4 probably on the Viper, Loda probably on the Dragon Knight, EGM on the EO, I'd say Aki, I suppose, under Treant Protector. Could be Admiral Bulldog too, if they want to do an offlane Treant Protector, but still very, very unsure. This is definitely not typical of Alliance.
If they decide to go ahead and stick with the tanky approach again, that bristleback pick that we've seen Alliance make before is something that Bulldog has experience on and would certainly fit in with this kind of a lineup. We do see Vici did ban the Lone Druid with their last ban there in the second ban phase, so not going to have that available to them. And we're going to have Vici landing the Luna as their farming hero, and I really like that a lot. Wow, we're going to see a Tusk pick, and it's going to be Loda playing on the Tusk. Bulldog will actually be handling the Viper with S4 taking the Dragon Knight mid up against Super's OD.
Well, that's unusual. I don't remember the last time I've seen a Tusk. I think I saw one team in Starladder run it solo mid. That was okay, I'd say. And then I also saw Na'Vi run it as a support. I think Kuroki played it.
I think we were casting that together, actually.
But other than those two instances, I haven't seen him at all. And I guess it's 1-on-1. The one I saw him solo mid, they lost. The one I saw it as a support roamer, it actually did very, very well.
Just about ready to get things underway. The surprise pick of the day, at least in here in our first game, going to be Loda handling the Tusk. I can't remember seeing Admiral Bulldog on the Viper before. Is that something that you can recall?
I have not seen that either.
Yeah.
So maybe their plan's like, okay, someone get hookshot cogged, and we'll all snowball in for a brawl inside the cog.
And loading into the game, Vici and Alliance. Let's take a run through and see who's handling who on the side of Alliance. It'll be S4. Taking the Dragon Knight towards mid. Treant Protector going to be handled by Ake. Tusk played by the captain, Loda himself with Io. No surprise to see him handled by EGM. And Viper going to be played by Bulldog, who's actually making his way down to the safe lane as we speak on the other side of the river. Captain, my captain, ROTK. Playing on the Clockwork, we're going to have Fenrir handling our Venomancer. The Old Dirty going to be played by Super. He'll be setting up shop in mid, I'm sure. With FY playing on Chen and Luna. No surprise, he's going to be farmed by Sylar.
I'm surprised there's no tree breakers going down by EO yet. Usually you want to get those trees down early in case you want to creep pull this camp or even just make stacking a little bit easier.
30 seconds.
Looks like both teams going to stay on their sides of the river. So real quickly before the horn sounds, based on what we see so far, who do you give the lane advantage to?
I would say Vici, just because on paper it looks stronger, but Alliance just has a lot of heroes that I never see in tandem. I've never seen Treant and Wisp on the same team. I've also never seen Tusk on any team, so it's very difficult to predict.
And there's our horn. Game number 1 of the HyperX D2L Grand Finals underway here in our first series between Alliance and Vici. Taking a look at the way the lanes are shaping up. Bulldog still hanging out. He's got his eye on a double damage rune, and looks like he will go ahead and grab it. And it looks like we're going to have some aggression coming out of the offlane as EGM is joined up with Loda. And behind them, Ake. They're going to be moving in and trying to apply pressure to Sylar right off the bat.
I think that FY is going to have to do a lot in this early game. He's starting off against an aggressive tri-lane. Yeah, it's not the most aggressive tri-lane, but Treant Protector is actually skilled Leech Seed at level 1. Tusk has skilled Ice Shards, no Snowball, and EO has a Tether. They could potentially get an early level 1 kill, so Sylar has to be very, very scared.
Here in mid, this matchup, we both agree, going to be pretty tough for S4. Super certainly quite competent at the Old Dirty, but the matchup just in terms of on paper certainly doesn't favor him as well. And this is just going to be a situation where any gold he can get in any kind of experience gain, so long as he doesn't fall too far behind, I feel like Alliance is going to feel pretty happy with the way that mid lane goes.
He's actually coming out way far in terms of CS 4 and 1 compared to the 2-0 by OD.
And Super, so far, not doing the best job. We can see already, though, Sylar being zoned out very effectively. Not a single CS, and there's going to be the shards and the engagement in. Siler's trapped. He's going to end up being our first blood. Ake and Alliance draw first blood here in the grand finals, and this already is a big win for them. The fact that they can take Loda on Tusk, get a first blood, and shut down Siler at the same time. Big decisions and big payoff from Alliance so far.
Yeah, and now Siler is just going to be so hard-pressed to find any sort of farm. Luna, very short-range hero, 330, and yeah, the Lunar Blessing is nice, but not if you only have 2 heroes in the lane versus 3. And FY, he's already level 2.5, and I guess that's some something that they're getting out of their tri-lane, but I mean, they really need a secure farm on Siler just because Super's not doing as well in mid as I expected. 6-1 compared to 8-3 by S4's Dragon Knight, and they're going to have their mid game cut out for them if Siler is not going to have a BKB at any reasonable pace.
Taking a look at this safe lane performance on Viper from Bulldog, he seems to be doing quite well for himself. He's got 7 CS. He's certainly not atop the leaderboard, but not in terrible shape either. Up at top, we can see Loda and company shoving them back under their own tower. FY is making his way over at the same time, so the potential for some aggression coming out. Ake's already level 2.5, and Io sitting at level 2 as well. The Satyr will be the one that spots them out, so they're going to know FY's in the vicinity.
Yep, Tusk hard carry is going to be interesting to see. He does have a Walrus Punch that will help him scale, but his other 3 skills don't really scale too well with items. But Walrus Punch also goes through BKB. Very nice to be able to stop heroes through BKB. They have a Tree Ultimate too, which can also do that. So Train Protector also going for a very aggressive build early with that Boots.
I'll tell you right now, the performance on DK out of S4 really not quite as exciting as the first blood, but look at how close he is. He's sitting at level 4.5 to 4.5, 10 up, and he's actually going to go ahead and put some aggression on. 13 CS to 10 roughly. And he's really keeping the gap close, so that's a big win for them as well. There's going to be a nice scale, but the shards trap Fenrir, and nowhere to go. Slowed down the Leech Seed plus Tether meant he had no movement speed to speak of. Sigil certainly didn't hurt either, and in the meantime, looks like OD will get a regen rune, but Alliance already just completely decimating this top lane. And if you're Vici, Ben, what do? You got to find some way to get things back on track.
I think they should probably just sacrifice his top lane, just let Venomancer stay there and try and just Plague Ward and farm. Probably get farm on Gen 2 or just double jungle with Luna and Chen right now, just because it's too far. It's too far gone to salvage at this point. Luna sitting at level 3. She does have boots, but she's going to keep on dying and dying again. If she comes up to a creep, she just gets frost sharded with the minus move speed from Frozen Sigil and the Leech Seed. She's just not going to be able to escape. So they have to prevent Siler from dying, and the safest way to do that is just park him in the jungle on the right side. There's already a couple of camps already stacked over here, so he should just take those down and let Fenrir just sit way behind in this area and just get levels. And if they decide to push a tower, just bam, Plague Wards. He needs to pick that up at level 3 though.
Shard's going to be dodged that time around here in mid. We can see finally Super is beginning to open up a little bit of a gap. He's up to 19 CS and the 14 of S4, but still a really nice performance out of S4 to not only not die, but to get as many CS and to get as much experience as he has. And FY going to dodge the Shards there. And Loda's not done. He's going to pursue him out. Nope, thought better of it. Heard a Gale behind that. And now Ake's in trouble. Siler, though, down to about half health. And Ake just can't kill him. EGM's right there. The Sigil doing its job. And Siler, 1 or 2. There it is. Shards from Loda. They do end up losing Io at the same time. But Fenrir's in trouble under his own tower. Has to use the wand charges. Loda right on his tail. And there it is. A double kill for the carry Tusk. The surprise pick for Alliance.
And FY is just spending all his time trying to kill that Frozen Sigil because that thing is really, really annoying to deal with. The movement speed slow isn't that much, but oh wow. And OD with that regen rune manages to pick up a kill on S4. So that is one of the few things going in the way of Vici right now, but Siler still sitting very, very low on the net worth chart.
And Loda and company just dominating.
Bulldog on bottom, diving ROTK.
ROTK protected by his own tower. Bulldog actually took a few tower shots there. ROTK isn't level 6. If he had a hook, he might have decided to hook in after the bottle charges, but not going to be the case. Alliance doubling him up. Siler caught again, and Loda tethered up. There's the Leech Seed to slow him. What can you do? If you get caught by those shards, all of the slow effects from the tether, from the Sigil, and from the Leech Seed, you're just not going anywhere.
I think that Alliance completely took Vici off guard with the off-lane aggressive tri-lane tusk, though, because that's just something that you don't see. And they're like, oh, okay, Luna, we're going to draft that sort of hero so we can, oh, man.
And there's the snowball in. Fenrir down to half health. He's slowed down again. Loda tanking through. Oh, nice sin back. FY managing to get the sin back.
He still dies to Leech Seed, though.
Yep. Leech Seed managed to kill him in the end. 6-2, Alliance in control. And here comes Super. He's going to try to get some payback. Loda's going to exit. And that haste rune not going to go to much use as S4 is able to scurry away, or flap away, I should say.
Yeah, this early game is just a huge disaster for Vici right now. Goldgraph, not that much in favor of Alliance right now, around 2,000, but that's with Bulldog still free farming bottom and without any towers down. Alliance can still keep tower diving Sylar. He is only level 4. I think even once he gets level 6, they can just tank the Eclipse in between Tether and the Living Armor. They should be perfectly okay against that.
So we can see Loda is going with the pure tank build. He's already got a Vit booster up to go with his phase boots, and we'll see if that's a casual Vit booster if he wants to go ahead and build himself a Vanguard out of that. I mean, given the advantage you have right here, what kind of item build are you expecting out of this carry tusk?
I was expecting a drums, not a Vit booster, just so they can keep up the pressure. Just because S4 isn't farming that well anymore. He was farming really well. Now he's 17-7, so he
got them both!
Yes. Oh boy.
Shards caught too. Here's the immediate TPN. They might want to rethink this. Loda going to go ahead and snowball after Fenrir. Will catch up with him, but he's amidst a lot of pain. Nice clogs! Caught them both, and ROTK making his presence felt. Ake drops, and ROTK low health. Loda's going to be netted as FY joined the fight as well. Ends up being a lot of damage done, but only one casualty, and that being the Treant Protector on the side of Alliance. So good teleport reaction out of Vici that time around.
Yep, that's a 4v3, and they only got 1 kill out of it, and Alliance is still pressuring their tower right now. S4 trying to make his way up top. Super tries to contest the Illusion Room, but S4 will get it, although unbottled. And Admiral Bulldog still farming away on bottom. Looks like he wants to finish his mech before he finishes, or before he starts the fight. And Sylar didn't die there, so Vici is trying to claw their way back into this game.
Loda continues to just dominate this top lane. The tower itself still in pretty good shape, about 3/4 health, but this tri-lane certainly not. And Loda, just look, does not care. Just wandering through, taking damage, knows he has the Treant Protector to help heal him up if needs be. And in the meantime, Bulldog is just having a ball down in bottom lane. He's been left entirely alone. He will be going with the Mechanism first build. In fact, he's pretty damn close to it already.
Yep, just about 800 gold away, and S4 taking some pot shots at the tower. That Corrosive Breath doing a lot of work, 200 HP on it. I'm not really sure if Vici's in a good position to defend this, though.
Oh, Sylar caught, snowball, there's the Leech Seed and the Walrus Punch. Sylar comes back to earth with a bloody nose, and down he goes once again. It's 7-3. Alliance should take the tower off of this, and they will. As we approach 10 minutes, the lead beginning to mount. After that tower, it'll be about 2,500 gold advantage in the first 10. Not a bad performance.
This is before relocate, too, and they're going to be able to get a lot of map control with that. I think it should be Sylar farming bottom instead of ROTK, maybe just trying to get some sort of farm, maybe even just barking a mid, but him just continually returning top and just constantly dying, too. He doesn't even stand a chance in this lane.
No, he really doesn't. I mean, you take a look at his CS. He's got 28. But when
there's a smoke on bottom. They might kill the chicken.
FY and Fenrir trying to make something happen. We'll go ahead and steal the Satyr in the meantime.
The chicken's actually going to scout out the Satyr, so they're going to know that they're there without the smoke.
Yep. And immediately spotted. Oh, the hook was off the mark. We heard it shot. And they're going to try to catch him. Fenrir has a Gale, will spin that. He's going to go ahead and do what damage he can. That's 4 on Bulldog. So he will be cogged in and brought down. In the meantime, though, up at top, we can see a dive. And Sylar caught with the shards again, but no help. And probably best Loda didn't chase in there, as he did have Eclipse ready to go. Down at bottom, we'll see if they want to push off of this. Looks like they do.
If Wisp were level 6 right there, that would have been a completely different fight on bottom. There would have been 1 TP and then a relocate, and it would have been a 1v4 turned into a 4-on-4. So Vici can get away with doing that now, but next time they do that, they better make sure that relocate is on cooldown or Wisp is dead or not level 6 yet, because they're in for a world of pain if they try and do that one more time. This tower's getting pressured very heavily on bottom. Fenrir opting for the 2-1-2 mix build.
And Shards once again kept Sylar. The snowball in, Walrus Punch, Leech Seed, and the Eclipse goes off, but only a few shots do damage. Super trying to get some payback. ROTK's there with him. There's the ulti to secure 1 kill in return. Bulldog, though, has a beat on Super. Let's see if they can track him. S4 is right behind him. Here's the Satyr. Wards him off. In the meantime, they're not done. Fenrir in trouble. Breathe Fire does massive damage. Ake doing all that right click, and one more auto attack makes it another big win for Alliance. Ake very close to death, but alive at least for the moment, and there we go. Able to extricate himself. And Alliance now doubling them up 10-5. This mid-tier 1 likely to be their prize.
Super is trying his best to get some kills on the board for Vici, but this game is just so much in favor of Alliance right now. The gold and XP graph isn't that much in favor of them, but the momentum, and this is all before Wiss is level 6 too. He's sitting around 510 out of 600 experience, so he's almost level 6. Aki is level 7 too. He's one full level above Sylar, the opposing team's carry.
And they're going to catch FY. Snowballs after the shards, and Walrus Punch. The knockout blow gets the job done. In the meantime, Bulldog has finished his mech. And at this point, I think it's all guns forward. I don't expect him to let up at all. Bulldog catches a little bit of damage as he comes out of the astral imprisonment, but Alliance will go ahead and pull back at least for the moment. Taking a look at the overall net worth, we can see 3 of the top 4 all belonging to Alliance, with Tusk right near the top. OD, the old dirty, pretty much the only hope Vici has of being able to do some damage and have something to ward away this aggression. But Alliance, again, they have no reason to back off. They rotate down the bottom, and now they're going to force another fight.
Super needs a mech up desperately, or the Chen. One of those two need a mech if they want to stop this snowball from Alliance. This will be the 4th tower down, or 3rd tower down, actually.
Yep. And I wouldn't be surprised if they just push through. Or they could just fall back farm and look to take a Roshan. I mean, at this point, map control, a forlorn hope for Vici. They're going to go ahead and try to counter pressure in mid, but the push power of Alliance at this stage, mostly because of the Dragon Knight in particular, is just so high. And they will go ahead and TP1 back. That'll be ROTK. And it looks like they will go ahead and think better of it. In the meantime, here in mid, we see S4 pop to Haste Rune. Will catch him and get the stun off before the TP completed. Walrus Punch off the relocate, and look at that, dead in the air. 12-5.
That was a very important pick by S4 there. Nice usage of the Haste Rune.
And even though the bottom tier 2 still stands, it's not in the best of shape. Vici on the ropes. And if you're in the captain's chair here, Ben, what do you do? What are you telling your team? What's the game plan to get things back on track and try to keep Alliance from running away with a quick game 1 win?
I think they need to get a mech first and foremost. Secondly, they need to try and bait out relocate ganks and then try and use OD to their advantage. Maybe like if they try and gank one person, relocate comes in, they can use Astral on the main hero, kill the Wisp, and then it's immediate 2-on-3. So that would be pretty nice for them to do, but I mean, it's still a long shot for them just because Admiral Bulldog's really farm right now. Lotus is pretty farm, and they're all going a survivability build too. Admiral Bulldog, Point Booster, Mech, Loda with the Vanguard, the Ogre Club, and the Cloak, 1400 HP. And on the Dragon Knight, he's actually really poor too, but he has a lot of strength too, and a lot of armor. So there's no real easy target for Vici to pick off unless it's EGM. So EGM has to be very, very careful, or Aki just has to be extra vigilant about his living armor on EGM. But Vici is just not going to be able to win these fights unless they kill someone really quickly with Eclipse and Sanity's Eclipse.
Well, at this point, I mean, the gold lead is beginning to have that insurmountable feel. We're up towards 5 digits, almost a 10,000 gold lead in just 15 minutes into this game. And now the drum's out on the Dragon Knight as well. And just look at the health bars. You don't even have to look at the numbers. Just look at the way they appear visually. I mean, even EGM's feeling a little bit tanky. In the meantime, looks like we're going to have Sylar spotted out once again. And Loda with the knockout blow. Another Walrus Punch and another Mega Kill going his way. And Io's actually completed a Vladimir's offering already. What can you do?
EGM about to get picked off, though.
And looking for some tether help. Walked in and imprisoned. Here comes the cavalry. S4 used the drum charge. He's going to go ahead and stun out ROTK. There's a tether to Ake. Breathe Fire caught a bunch. Cogs are going to go down, but there's the overgrowth to lock them down. Chin's heal helps extend the fight. S4 still somehow alive, not for long. They will end up getting ROTK in exchange. That's a 1-for-1 exchange, but Loda catches Fenrir once again. Doesn't have enough mana for a Walrus Punch, but won't need it. Has enough backup damage from his teammates. Even in that situation, they get 1, but still have to trade 2 for it. And Bulldog feeling very brave now, eats a Lucent Beam in the face, but shrugs it off more or less.
Yep. And Siler is just nowhere close to his BKB, and the Luna pick has just been so dead. I think you either have to go all out, like early push, and they kind of like half-assed it, I think, with the Clockwork pickup too, and without a Pugna pick. And now Siler is just completely useless. Even if he gets his BKB, he's still going to be useless because of Walrus Punch, because of Viper Strike, and because of Overgrowth too. So he needs a lot of items if he wants to get back in this game, and I just don't see him being able to farm up at all.
Right now, Alliance just has complete control of the map. And, you know, we've seen it time and time again. Luna, as good as the hero is, she can get bullied around in lane. And that was just a good call out of Alliance to go ahead, roll the dice with the Tusk pick, and then just let your heroes do what they do. Tusk is going to be tough to deal with whenever he has that much help in terms of slowing people down. Again, it's just almost impossible to escape whenever you have to deal with the Shard, you have to deal with the Sigil, you have to deal with the Leech Seed, and you have to deal with the Tether. And honestly, I feel like Vici should have abandoned that top lane a lot earlier than they did. I mean, it would have been tough, but it certainly would have been much preferable to how this has turned out. We can see by the net worth. 4 of the top 5 in net worth all belonging to Alliance right now. Luna is less farmed than the Treant Protector. That's how hungry she is.
Yeah, I think that early game was just a disaster. They should have dished it a long time ago, as you said, just stack and pull and try and avoid fights. But, I mean, Alliance just did something very unusual, too. No one expects an offensive Wisp and Treant Protector, and even so, you usually think of it as like a defensive aggressive lane. Like, yeah, they're in the offensive lane, but they're actually just trying to soak up experience and limit the other person's farm. But nope, they just went full out aggressive and just kill Siler over and over and over again. And these are just not the right heroes to back him up very early too. Venomancer and Shen.
Super. Out in no man's land. Can't be hanging out by yourself near a creep wave when there's an IO on the map. And, you know, we actually haven't even seen all that much of that. I mean, we've seen it executed and worked quite well a number of times, but much of this game
Bottom,
has been
Siler.
Yep, Siler once again dead.
I'm not exactly sure what he was doing there. It wasn't actually a relocate. He just, like, returned back from the relocate, and then he was just sitting there and dying. But, I mean, poor Siler. You have to take some risk now and then.
Right now, coming up on just about 20 minutes into this game, and Vici gasping for air, hoping they can keep things going a little bit longer. But it's been a pretty steady arc upward in both experience and gold so far, and it looks like it's going to be heading a little bit more northward as well, as this tier 2 in mid now the target. And really, I don't even feel like they can engage and take a fight. If ROTK hooks in, it's just a suicide.
Yeah, there's just no way they can do that much damage to these heroes. And you have to consider the Frozen Sigil too. The Frozen Sigil is minus 60% attack speed, which is a hell of a lot when you look at this Luna, who only has power treads, and OD, who has power treads as well. So they're sitting both around like minus 30% attack speed, and without that, where does your damage really come from? Eclipse, but he just dies really quickly. OD sitting Eclipse, but he doesn't have that much int right now. Venomancer's Poison Nova, but he's only sitting on level 7. So they have all these like source of damage, but they're just not farmed enough to make good use of it at all.
You can see Roshan now the target. Vici's moving in that direction. And looks like Alliance, yeah, they just want to go fight. They're not going to run. They're ready to go.
They're super farmed right now, too. Even the supports. EGM has a Vladimir's offering, and Aki has a Blink Dagger, too, as well as Arcane Boots. So it's not only Admiral Bulldog and Loda who are farmed at this point. Loda already has his BKB completed. 6-0 and 9 on him.
Yep, check it out. 6-0 and 9, as you said, on Loda. 5 and 2, a great performance on EGM. 3 and 1 for Ake's Treant Protector. Here we go. They're going to move in. Super going to be caught by the Dragon Tail and blown up immediately. ROTK moves in with no support. He did manage to knock some to the high ground. Here comes the Eclipse, but they're so tanky they just don't care. Loda with a BKB up, spins a Walrus Punch. The rest of Vici can do nothing but slowly waddle away, and GG's called. And just like that, just about 20 minutes exactly, Alliance secures the first win here in our D2L Grand Finals. And I'll tell you what, Ben, it was just a stomp from beginning to end. We saw it. We knew it. And, you know, how do you even expect that? Like, if you see a Tusk, a tree, and an IO, is there any part in your brain that goes, you know what, they might try to put pressure on?
Well, I don't think it's so much like before the, like during the laning phase, it's unpredictable. But as soon as you see that tri-lane, and as soon as Siler dies once, you just need to back off and be like, okay, this is not working out for us. We have to do something about it. If Sauter doesn't get farmed, we're going to lose the game. And yeah, Chen will get farmed, but that's irrelevant. And like he was probably one of the most farmed heroes on Vici, but he just absolutely did not have that much of an impact. So they need to go back to the drawing board, and they also just need to adapt better in game. They were very poor at adapting that game, and I think Vici's actually usually pretty good at that.
Yep. Well, game one is short affair. Only took him about 20 minutes, 22-6. The final kill score and some halftime adjustments very desperately needed by Vici. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves in the lower bracket very soon. Once again, guys, thanks for being a part of the broadcast. I'm AC. That's Ben Merlini Wu. This is the HyperX D2L Grand Finals at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. Game 2 of our leadoff best of 3 Vici versus Alliance coming up next right after these messages. Stick with us.